We're up?
Yep.
Awesome. How'd you meet Sarah?
Sarah, I met through a mutual comedy friend.
Who?
Bennett Weber.
Don't know.
He's a great comedian.
Your comedy circle is literally like a crop circle away from mine. Like I don't even like I don't know anyone you know.
It could be. I came up through doing improv more than stand up.
Yeah.
So I came up through the UCB in New York, Upright Citizens Brigade in New York, and the UCB out here. And then I started doing stand up eventually when I was on the Daily Show, and that's where I met a lot of stand ups. But I met Sarah through a mutual friend, Bennett Weber. And then she came and did some things with me for Wriggles Picks on Fox NFL.
Oh, that's right.
And
You're
then,
fucking so dialed in together.
And then when I did the Rob Lowe roast, and I worked with Sarah on that a lot.
Yeah.
And then we just hit it off. So I was like, I want to start a podcast. This is back in 2017. I was like, at the beginning of next year in 2018, I want to start a podcast, and I'd love to do it with you because I think we get along and I think we have a good rapport. And she's like, hell yeah. So we just started it in January.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
She's super talented.
Yeah, she's a great lady.
Super
Great lady, super fun, super funny.
She's the person I've said to people, they're in this business, I've said this wrong now that I think about it. There are like journeyman male comics where like you've been doing it 20 years and then you get success.
Yeah.
And I go, with women, it always seems like they get a pop at like 8 years and they're famous as shit. But then you look at Sarah and you're like, no, she's working, funny as shit.
Yeah.
And like she's like a legit journeyman female comic.
Yeah. I don't think it's so rare that anybody gets into comedy, male or female, and doesn't have to grind. I mean, everybody's got to grind. Everybody's got to grind, and it's that 10-year thing. Will Ferrell told me. He said it takes 10 years to make an overnight success, and it's true. I mean, and that 10 years can be a lot of things. It can be top of the hill in 10 years, or you just start to see some opportunities at 10 years. But 10 years is generally the mark, I think, when you start getting either opportunities or breaks.
When was your first break?
It was Saturday Night Live. That was the first gig I ever got.
So you're someone who I first recognized, like, you know, when like fame starts where you start going, I see that person a lot. I got to look into them. Your Half Hour presents, your Comedy Central presents.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I remember this very distinctly because you took your shirt off.
Nope.
You came on. I swear to God.
Nope.
Are you serious?
I would never take my shirt off.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
I swear to God, I thought you took your shirt off. You and another guy. It must have been another guy, but you were at that same time. You did a half hour, right?
I did a half hour on Comedy Central.
Yeah, I remember watching it.
But I promise you, I was big back then. I was a lot heavier than I am now.
Wait, how heavy?
Oh, I was probably, fuck me. I was probably 40 pounds heavier than I am right now.
I would love to lose 40 pounds.
My point is, there's no way I would take my shirt off.
I swear to God, it must
No
have.
way.
But
I would have been too ashamed.
Regardless, I saw your half hour.
Okay.
And I went, wow, what's up? I've seen this guy a lot. Yeah. And then I was talking to someone, you know, and like you get like immediately get, this is gonna sound really shitty. Do you remember in college when you'd be sitting with a group of people, like girls and guys, and then your one buddy, all the girls would go like, you know who we have to set you up with? And they're like, you gotta meet Sarah, and everyone's like, oh my God, they'd be perfect together. And you're sitting there going, I'm single too.
Yeah.
Does no one notice that I'm fucking single?
Yeah, and I tell you guys I'm single all the time.
Yeah, and no one's setting me up with shit. I was sitting next to someone and they go, man, that guy has got everything going. And I said, what do you mean? They go, he's a Marine. And immediately I went, motherfucker. I was like, God damn it. Like, there's no reason you would ever hate this guy. Like, you got a million reasons to hate me. They're like, oh, he's an alcoholic or whatever. And I was like, and then I would watch you and I was like, God damn it. And you have been in so much shit that it's almost like, I say this, there's a thing with, I guess it's not happening with Ben Affleck as much anymore, but America buys into you and they go, that's our guy. And I go, I think
that's
have
quite a compliment.
Hardcore.
Holy shit, that's like one of the nicest things anybody's ever said to me.
Dude, you're legit, like, there's a handful of you. You, David Koechner.
You love Keck.
Right?
He's one of my friends. He's one of my very good friends.
if you see David Koechner or something, you go, oh, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's a pure heart. He's a genuine guy.
He's the greatest.
Yeah.
I saw him at Big Five down on Ventura.
Okay.
And he comes up and he goes, Greiser. I go, what's up? And he goes, I go, what are you doing? He goes, I'm buying weights for some guy he works with on some sitcom. I go, what? And he goes, he's always using mine. I thought I'd get him some.
That's awesome. That's Koechner.
Yeah.
You know, he and I do a charity event in Kansas City because we're both.
Of course you do.
Because we're both from Kansas City.
Of course you guys do. What? Okay, so what's your flaw then?
Oh God, we don't have time. I got so many. It's ridiculous. I can be lazy. I can be grumpy.
We're all that though.
I don't know. Sometimes you have to talk to my wife. I guess I'm a terrible listener, maybe.
I'm a horrible listener.
I don't think I'm a terrible listener. I do work on my flaws. I do. I try to self-improve all the time. So I try to improve. I think, though, I could probably be a better listener. Probably, I guess.
I'm a horrible listener.
I think we could all probably be better listeners.
Yes. So you were raised in Kansas?
I was raised in Kansas City, yeah.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
Missouri?
Overland Park, Kansas, which is a suburb of Kansas City on the Kansas side.
Okay.
I hesitate to say Kansas City, Kansas, because it's different. It's Kansas City split down the middle between Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah.
A lot of the nicer stuff is on the Kansas City, Missouri side. Kansas City, Kansas is more industrial complex type stuff. So it's a little, rougher and there's not much to it.
Yeah.
Although it is getting built up. But Overland Park, Kansas is a really beautiful suburb of Kansas City, but it's on the Kansas side. So I'm from Kansas.
I went there tell me if you remember this, the NCAA championship was in like 88? 88?
Yeah.
I went to that game.
Nice.
Yeah, my uncle was a big lobbyist, and that's my experience with Kansas City was going out there
to Kemper Arena back in 88.
Yep.
Well, that was a good one because that's when Kansas University won with Danny Manning. And so I imagine it was rocking pretty hard.
It was really awesome. It was a really cool experience. It was my first time. I remember it was the first time I got to the hotel and there was porn available. And I was like,
classic Kansas City.
Yeah, classic Kansas City. I was in ninth grade, and I was like, oh my God, I want to get porn.
More.
But I was like, it's gonna come up on the bill. Little do I know now how little a grown up pays attention to a hotel bill. They're like, yeah, just pay it.
Yeah,
I would have definitely loaded up. So, you Kansas City. What kind of parents together, brother and sister?
Yep. I have an older sister, one older sister who's outstanding, and I had two great parents that are still married to this day, 55 years into it, I guess, and they're fantastic. Everybody's happy and healthy.
Did you play sports in high school? I'm trying to see how similar we are, and why you've had so much more success than me. Because I really feel like when I first saw you, I was like, oh, this is the kind of guy I would have grown up with. This is the kind of guy I would have been friends with growing up.
Cool.
I would have been in your fraternity.
Yeah.
We would have moved to New York together, had the similar experiences. I was I feel like we would have been on the same path.
Yeah.
So my goal is to find out how similar our paths are and where you diverged and succeeded past me. When you say laziness, I go, oh, you stay out at bars until 4 a.m, and you're like, oh no, I meant I have a hard time getting to the gym.
I didn't write my 10 pages on my script today. When I only wrote 5, and I should have done 10. Damn it.
So high school, what kind of
I had a very I don't know, I guess the more I live around the world and the country, and the more people I get exposed to, and the more I learn about other people's journeys, the more I realize just how great a childhood I had. I really did.
It's so funny when they first started talking about white privilege, I mocked the idea, and now I'm really getting to a place where I go, oh, I definitely benefited. I really had a very blessed childhood.
I struggle with white privilege a little bit, although I did just finish reading, and I know I'm 5 years behind on this, but
I always say I'm woke for 1985.
I did I did just read Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell's book. Okay, and he really dives into the effect of community and what that means to your ability to succeed. And he really does some pretty interesting historical work, talking about just the community you're raised in, the opportunities you get in that community, and blah, blah, and he goes on and on and on. And it could be making an argument for, I don't want to say white privilege, but privilege.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it applies across racial lines, the community and the opportunities you're presented with, and the amount of success you have as a result of that. And it can be generational. So it was a fascinating read on that. But at the end of the day, when I was cutting milkweed out of the bean fields at my grandfather's farm, 12, 14 hours a day in the summer, I don't recall anybody, I didn't feel like much privilege there when I was eating dirt. And
so that's real.
And I didn't feel like a lot of privilege when I was in boot camp. And it didn't feel like a lot. I understand the historical references. I'm not oblivious to that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it does come, it's a mix. It is, I believe, there is a mix between the community and the opportunities presented. And I also believe that at some point you have to be responsible for your own life.
Yeah.
You have to be. You can point at society, you can point at your parents, you can point at everybody. You could spend all day making a laundry list of reasons why your life isn't what you want it to be, but at the end of the day, it's just you. It's you.
Yeah.
We're born naked. We come into this world naked. We're going to die naked, alone. At the end,
you just made every single one of my listeners dick hard. 'Cause there's a bunch of fat white guys with beards going, "Yeah, I fucking bust my goddamn ass." That's what I made a joke.
No, don't get. I'm I remember seeing, you see politicians making these speeches about how you didn't earn anything in your life and you didn't do this, and it's the taxpayers who built the road so that you could have a business. And okay, yeah, I mean, sure, if you want to make that your truth, fine. Yes, there are elements of truth there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, who put their name on the line? Who put their money on the line? Who risked everything? The individual. Whoever that individual is, they're the ones who risked it all. Reputation, fortune, relationships, everything. So there is a mix between community and individual. And somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's an interesting debate. I did enjoy his book, Malcolm's.
Well, I feel like as I'm listening to you, I feel like one of the things I'd said as an adult, this is going to sound ridiculous. I wanted to go to boot camp. I feel like I needed the fraternity experience for me was very defining, and because of humility. We got hazed pretty aggressively, and there was a submitting that happened where I think it helps you redefine who you are and what you are. And I looked at it as an adult, and I said, to a bunch of my buddies, I said, we should all go to boot camp. We should see if they can organize a boot camp. Obviously, I don't think I can do 18 weeks or 13 weeks or whatever it is, but go away and sacrifice a little bit to see. And when I'm listening to you, I go, I bet that was a very big defining moment for you.
Yeah, I was 19 years old, and it was definitely a transition. It was a transition from boyhood to manhood, no doubt about it. Because when you step off that bus and put your feet in those yellow footprints, and the drill instructors start yelling at you, you're alone. You can't get back on that bus. You can't call timeout. You can't say, I don't want to play anymore. You're in it, and that's when you realize, oh, I'm going to have to get strong. I'm going to have to get mentally strong. I'm going to have to get physically strong. I'm going to have to be tougher than I ever thought I could be. And it hits you like a slap in the face, and it scares the shit out of you because you sit there and you think, I just made the biggest mistake of my fucking life.
Oh, fuck.
But then,
sweet.
Then you get tough. It's an old cliche. You've seen it on posters and stuff, but you never know how strong you are until you have to be.
Yeah.
And that's what boot camp gave to me, and fraternity. Like, when you submit yourself to a bigger whole, when you say, I'm going to be part of something, it's not just my world, I'm going to submit and become a part of this bigger whole. It can be inspiring, it can be awesome, and it can be something that drives you. But when you find yourself in those scary moments, it's what builds character. It's what makes you who you are. It's what makes you a man, whatever that means. I know we can make jokes about that all day, but it's what makes you the adult. It's part of the maturation process, and so you don't know how strong you are until you have to be. You know, it's if you're living off your parents and you're 26 years old, you got a fucking problem. You know, you need to get out of the house. You need to go live on your own, and it's going to suck at first. That's the thing about responsibility and growing up is it's hard. That's why you try to do it early. You try to do it when you're 13, 14, 15 years old because, you know, then you have some help. If you're trying to do it at 25, 26, 27, you're in a hurt locker. You're going to be bummed out. So the sooner you start, the better off your life's going to be as far as taking responsibility.
So in 19, what kind of high schooler are you as you exit high school and go into, like, what kind of, like?
Well, I graduated from high school and I went to Kansas University, and while I was in Kansas University, I went to the Marines.
Okay.
So,
I remember my buddy went to boot camp.
Yeah.
He was in our fraternity. I'm drawing a blank on his name. He has since passed.
Sorry to hear that.
Fucking, but he came back yoked, like ripped and shone, and he was a different dude. He was like, you could see it in his eyes. He went in soft and pudgy and came out a man. So like, and I remember seeing that and going, fuck.
It happened to me too. My friends, when I got back to school, because you go during the summer.
So your summer was spent at boot camp?
2 summers spent at boot camp.
2 summers spent at boot.
Yeah, officer candidate school.
Oh yeah,
same thing as boot camp. Only the difference is they're trying to get rid of you.
Really?
Yeah.
So go to University of Kansas, join a fraternity, having fun, pledge your socials, just blast. Oh, togas, like the pimps up, hose down parties. Oh God, I remember the cultural appropriation when we didn't know what it was, and then you decided to go to.
Yeah, I did. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was a poli-sci major at the time, but I really wanted to be a theater and film major or whatever. But anyway, I had my pilot's license when I was an undergrad. I used to fly. So
how does that happen?
Well, my grandfather he wanted to be an aviator in World War II, but he was too short, so they made him an intel officer for the 8th Army Air Corps, and he always wanted to fly, and he was pissed off that he was pissed about it. So when I got up to school, he's like, hey, if you want to learn how to fly, I'll pay for your pilot's license. So, well, you know, what the fuck am I going to say? I was like, yeah, I'll take that deal. Yeah. So I did. And Kansas is a great place to learn to fly. It's the flattest state you've ever seen. Yeah. So the whole state's a runway. You know, if anything went wrong, I just fucking set it down, you know, anywhere. So it was a great place to learn to fly. I felt very confident every time I went up. Anyway, so I learned how to fly, but I took this test called the AQTFAR test, and I did well enough that I got a guaranteed flight contract with the Marine Corps. And, you know, the truth is I did. There was a part of me that wanted to serve. You know, I wanted to know if I could do it. I was a very patriotic guy. I wanted to serve. So I knew that was going to be part of my life, so I just did it. And I also knew I wanted to do comedy and acting. I just didn't know how or when or if I'd ever grow enough balls to go for it.
Yeah.
To be honest. And I did. I eventually did ball up and go for it.
So what's, like, if you can, walk me through boot camp a tad bit, because I'm really fascinated by boot camp.
Sure.
There's a lot of guys that I hope, if you don't know, I'd be really excited to introduce you to, meaning, like, I don't know them personally, but, you know, online, like Tim Kennedy. You know Tim Kennedy?
No.
Jocko Willnick? Oh my God. I'm gonna give you a list of guys that I think you'll really connect with, because they emote a lot of the same ideals that you have, and I think they're very similar men to you in a different vein, but I think you'll really dig them. Jocko's got a really great podcast. Jocko and Tim are probably the 2 most inspirational guys, both ex-Navy SEALs, but they're just, like, Tim's really fun to follow on. He was a cage fighter.
Oh Jesus!
Like he was.
This guy's hard. He's alpha. He's a hardcore.
No man, I really think you guys would. He's a regular dude.
Okay.
He just, his mindset's a little different. Yeah. Like yours is very similar to yours. Like, if you're sitting on your couch at 26, you're fucking wasting your you know. he's like a guy like you get up and do it. Jocko is famous for on his Instagram. He just posts a picture of his watch when he starts to work out, and it's at 4:20 in the morning every like 4:22, and then he shows you the calluses on his hands. Like Jocko's a badass motherfucker.
He sounds extremely motivated and disciplined.
Both. Jocko has a great podcast, and I think he's in San Diego. And that would be I don't know him well enough, but he's on Joe's podcast a bunch.
Cool.
So describe, if you could, the experience of boot camp, like your first day, your first week, your first, like the things that stick out to you.
Well, officer candidate school for the Marine Corps is different than boot camp. Boot camp, you sign up and you sign the papers, and the Marine Corps basically owns you for 4 years.
Yeah.
So when you go to boot camp, in that sense, they're going to make you a Marine, come heck or high water. You show up fat, you show up not ready, you show up whatever. They'll just put you through boot camp twice until you do graduate. Like you're going, they got you.
Yeah.
Officer candidate school is different. That's more of a screening and evaluating process. So you show up and you have to earn the right to stay. You don't get to just be an officer. You have to, they're screening and evaluating you, and they're looking to cut you. They're looking to send you home. So it's really a tryout. And it's different in that sense from boot camp. The pressure's different.
Yeah.
Boot camp is you're there. And they'll just run you until you're fucking ready to go.
Really?
Officer candidate school, you better show up fucking ready and ready to go, and with your head screwed on straight, and you better be self-motivated and physically fit and all those things, and you better have a sense of yourself and leadership and all. There's no time to teach. And I was green. I was as fucking green as they come. I'm a kid, What the fuck do I know? I've never served. I hadn't done anything, but I did as much prep work as I could. I got as ready as I could, and I went. It's in Quantico, Virginia. You land. You're in your civilian clothes. You got on khakis and a golf shirt, and you go, and it's very disorienting because everything's by the numbers. They're moving you. Get on the bus. Sit down here. Don't and you're just kind of, everything's new and scary. So you're just kind of out of your element, and your adrenaline's cooking, and you don't even realize it. It's kind of this undercurrent of adrenaline. And then the first night of processing, you get in late. They process you all night. So
is it like stripes? Like you're carrying a blanket and clothes?
Exactly, because you show up with jack shit. You got nothing.
Oh, you got nothing?
Nothing.
Oh, you don't bring a suitcase?
Well, you bring a small little suitcase,
like toothbrush and stuff.
Even that though, pretty much is screened and evaluated.
Shit, do you realize how disarming that would be in this day and age for someone to go?
Oh no, people. Well, see, I don't want to pick on millennials because it sounds like
no,
like the old codger going. These fucking kids today.
Dude, I've lost my shit with that. Like I'm I'm obsessed with going like you know what SMR is? It's videos that my daughters love. It's this. It's people eating. They mic their mouths, and it's just the sound of people eating.
Is that a fetish?
Dude, no. It's what kids do to get entertained these days.
Oh my God, we've lost a whole generation of Americans.
There's a video I watched online, the world's most satisfying video. It's got 40 million views. I'm going to be talking about this. All it is a guy cutting through foam, and then they have 1,000 matches, and they light it, and all the matches light up. One of the videos is someone pulling the seal off of a brand new iPhone, and that is what entertains millennials.
This is the state of America. Things in America are so fucking good right now that we don't have any fucking problems. None. If that's the kind of shit that entertains and gets people's attention, if that's where people spend their attention, we're so good.
Dude,
we have no problem.
One of the videos is a guy de-skinning salmon. You're watching a man work, and that's a job. You could get that job if you're into that. You could get that job.
Fuck me. This sounds like Idiocracy. It sounds like Idiocracy.
Dude, I'm going to say something you will not agree with, but that is really, it's an aggressive statement, but I feel like what this country needs is a war. I know you're not going to agree with that. But
No, I
if
don't.
there was a war, because I don't know what war really is. I know you've been over there a bunch, but like, I think that would bring everyone back to.
You're not. I understand. I
You understand what I'm saying?
I understand your motive
Yeah,
behind
yeah.
that. Yes, totally.
I'm wrong.
Totally.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong. But what were you going to say when you say, like, when I said you show up with nothing?
Yeah.
The idea that you'd have that you
You have
would,
a small little suitcase with a change of clothes, but once you get there, you're in your civilian. They keep you in the same civilian clothes that you had on, and you basically, after about 24 hours, they finally start sending you through the uniform line, and you get your 2 pair of boots, you get your 2 pair, set of utilities, and. It's all front loaded as far as like getting your name tapes. You have to stencil your own name tapes. They sew them on, thank God, but you have to, it all happens in that first night or whatever. You just get all your shit squared away so they can get you, then they shave your head and it's very fast. It's like drinking out of a fire hose. It's all disorienting. It's all happening quickly and you're not used to, what's going on. Not to mention they turn up the stress level a little bit with the drill instructors, going, move, they're barking at you. You're like, fuck me. And you don't want to make any mistakes, but you don't know what the fucking rules are. And shit's happening. They tell you, you will do this, you will do that, you will not do this, you will not do that. Is that understood? Oh, sorry. All right, move. You're like, fuck, what did he say? And you're, and it's all part of it's part of it. It's all part of it. They try to get you off balance. But it's part of the breaking down and stripping down. You're no longer an individual. Now you're part of this machine, and they strip that away. And now they want you to be able to understand orders and how to respond to orders and instantaneous and da. You have to be a good follower before you can be a good leader. So you have to understand how to move groups of people from the classroom to the mess hall, from the chow hall back down to the parade deck. And if you try to do it willy-nilly or you lose control, people's shit, it's like a bunch of puppies running around, so you have to, there's a reason why you have drill and left face, port arm, and you move, march. So it's a process of learning but you have to learn rapidly. And at the 3-week mark, they make their first round of fuck yous. You're gone. You're gone. You're gone.
Really?
You're gone. Oh yeah, they bored you.
Were you nervous?
Oh yeah.
How similar is that to getting a show picked up or not picked up?
It's way more stressful, believe it or not.
Really?
Way more stressful, yeah. But they do at the 3-week. There's a 3-week board. There's a 6-week board, a 9-week, and then a 12-week board. And they will at all 3 of those boards. If you get called before the board, no one ever comes back.
Really?
Yeah, you can go up there and try and plead your case to the boss man, like, sir, I think I belong here because and they're like, well, thanks for coming. Bye.
Holy shit.
So my platoon, we started with 64 officer candidates, and we graduated 32. So we had 50% attrition.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was the most scared you were in boot camp? Like, what was the point where you're like, oh, I think I'm about to break?
I never had the feeling I was going to break mentally or anything, but I was scared. And I'm not saying I was cocking the walk. Yeah. There was fearful moments. I think I screwed up a land navigation course. You're only allowed 2 failures at anything, whether it's a written test, whether it's a failed inspection with your rifle, whether it's a junk on the bunk inspection, whether it's a field exercise, whether it's a physical fitness exercise. Like if we do a PFT and you fail, the PFT means physical fitness test, or if we do a combat conditioning course, or if we do, there's a dozen physical fitness things, obstacle course, so every day is the final exams. Every single day you're there. If you fail any of them, you get skylined. If you fail 2 times, you get boarded. So I failed, I think I screwed up the land navigation. It was the night land navigation course where they put these mailboxes out in the woods, and you have to use your compass and you shoot an azimuth, and then you have to go find that little mailbox in the woods, and you're going over and down hills, through valleys, over creeks, at night, and you're trying to, and then you find the mailbox, and on the mailbox is written a number, and then you have to write down that number. Then from that mailbox, you get the next azimuth, and you have to shoot another azimuth and head off into the woods to find the next mailbox and the next mailbox and the next mailbox. So anyway, I managed to dick it up, and I found the wrong mailbox or whatever, and then I got set off on a course of a bunch of wrong ones. So anyway, I think I failed that night course. Well, then that means I can't fail anything else. I can't fuck anything else up for the remainder of the time I'm at OCS. So I remember I was very nervous because close order drill was hard for me. I was new to it. Like the prior enlisted guys, they had already been through boot camp, so they knew close order drill pretty well. I didn't. One of the things you have to do is you have to get out in front of the platoon and lead them in close order drill. So, you know, you have to run them through a series of drills. You know, it starts out, you have the card. It's like a little 3x5 card, and it says, all right, we're going to step off, you know, have them do right shoulder arms, you know, left face, march, left oblique, right turn. You know, you have all these things that you have to run them through. Well, if you say it on the wrong foot or do it on the wrong foot or give the command at the wrong time, you're going to run your fucking platoon into a wall, or they're going to be out of step, and it turns into a clusterfuck. So it's very precision. So I knew that I was not good at this, and I knew I couldn't afford to fail anything else. So as we got closer to the exam on that, the review, I volunteered to take more fire watch, because at night we had 8 hours. You had a mandatory 8 hours sleep. You know, well, Reveille was at 0400. You know, we went to bed like at 8 o'clock, and then once you were in your rack, you couldn't get out of your rack unless you were on fire watch. Yeah. So if you were on fire watch, then you could walk up and down the squad bay. Well, I would walk up and down the squad bay practicing my drill. You know, practicing when to give the preparatory command, when to give the execution command, on what foot, all this stuff. Now, I lost an hour of sleep, which, by the way, sleep is worth gold at OCS because they run you so fucking ragged. Yeah. You know, when you get in that rack, you just fall asleep. You're just out. But I would give up an hour every fucking night and volunteer to take fire watch so I could get my fucking drill down. And it paid off. I did great on the drill. Really? Yeah, but it cost me an hour of sleep every night. But also, everybody in my platoon thought I was fucking great because it's like, this fucking guy is an idiot. He's volunteering for fire, watch. What? Yeah. Jerk off. And I would take other guys' fire watch and they'd be like, thank you, because they wanted to sleep. But I knew if I didn't fucking do it, I'd fail and I wouldn't fucking graduate. So you just make your choices. Make your decisions.
Wow. It's amazing. As I hear you talk about it, I realize how ingrained that experience is in your DNA. When there was a period of time where I was obsessed with the videos of fake Marine getting called out by real Marine at Target. You ever see those?
I've heard about them. Yeah. It's like that's stolen valor thing.
Yeah. There was a guy who was doing stand-up out of I won't say the city, but there was a guy who was doing stand-up who was talking about being a Marine on stage, but he was doing it for the applause break. Okay. Like, I'm sure maybe he did something, but he was at the bar. I was at the bar, and there was a Marine there. It was like, said something like, what dot are you? Yeah. And the guy didn't know the right way, and immediately the guy's like, yo, man. And it's like saying, hey, do you speak Spanish? And someone goes, oh yeah,
sí.
And then they say something in Spanish. You're like, oh, I don't actually really speak Spanish. But when you talk like this, I hear how ingrained it is in your DNA. Yeah. How hard was it to? What was your instinct when you got out of this experience and got into comedy and realized what an alternative world comedy is? What was your instinct with sharing that side of yourself with them?
With the Marines?
No, with the comics. Like, 'cause I remember when I got into comedy, I was a meathead. Like, I was like I was the number one party animal in the country.
I love it.
Rolling Stone magazine wrote a 6.5-page article about me, calling me the number one party animal in the country.
That's fucking awesome.
Oliver Stone optioned the rights to my life. Yeah, I was the number one. I was the number one party animal. Like, it was a big deal.
How did they? That is awesome, by the way. How did they gauge that? What's the criteria? What's the metrics on that?
They just wrote an article about me. That's it. They went to.
They must have followed you around.
They went to Florida State to write an article about the number one party school, and they were like, we need like a liaison. And so then they called around, and a bunch of people said, oh, you got to stay with Bert. You should stay with Bert. And then he called me, and I was in the middle of a bong hit, and he was like,
oh my God, this is like written in the stars, man.
Yeah. And he was like, oh my God, you're taking a bong hit? And I was like, yeah. He was like, can I stay with you for a week? I was like, yeah, stay with me for a week. And I just partied with him. It was like, this is back before the internet, really. So you couldn't, like, if you had someone there, you did stuff with them. You couldn't like just sit on your couch.
Right.
And
You
so-
had to interact
Yeah.
with the people you were with.
Yeah, and so
yes,
I
I remember
spoke
those
to
days.
this- Yeah, I spoke to this man for 7 days straight, and he was like, and then they came back and they're like, we're just gonna make the article about you. And so in the article, I said I wanted to be a comedian. I did stand up once in Tallahassee, and then I was like, fuck it, I'm moving to New York. But when I got to New York, I was acutely aware of how different my upbringing was than everyone else. And getting there, I was like, I remember I realized I hadn't really read a book. Like, I'm sure that you'd read books and stuff, but like I hadn't really read books, and I didn't get references that people said, and I was like, whoa, and like things that were like, I remember I said faggot, and you couldn't say faggot on stage, and I was like, whoa. I mean, you could really, and I think people did, but in the Village, you definitely didn't make gay jokes. And I was like, that was like the biggest
Not unless you
thing.
were gay.
Yeah, unless you were gay. And
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, I remember being like, well, and then I remember friends coming up and being like, I remember one of my friends like, dude, you got to tell like black jokes, racist jokes about black people. And I was like, hey man, I think that part of life that happened in Florida doesn't happen everywhere. Right. And so like, what part of you going into UCB was like, almost like, and I don't know if this is, but I can only imagine that being a Marine at UCB is almost a hindrance, as opposed to like, had you been, oh, my parents were both transgender, UCB is like, okay, now you fit in. You know what I mean?
Absolute. Actually, the opposite.
Really?
I got to New York. I was still on active duty. Okay. So I was active
What's that?
duty.
Is that almost like not having your visa cleared? Like you never know if you can feel like you're at home.
Oh yeah. No, it means you are full-time active duty. You're not, in the reserves. You're not, they don't just call you. You are subject to, you're a Marine 24/7. So I was a captain at the time. I had moved up there from North Carolina, and with the intent of pursuing comedy and acting. So when I got up, but I didn't know jack shit. I didn't know anything. I just knew I was in New York and it was time to try this. And so I remember the first thing I did, I found a stand-up, the Comic Strip Live on the Upper East Side.
Yeah.
And there was a guy there, DJ, I want to say like DJ Sweeney.
No, DJ Sweeney. Yeah.
Nice guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was fine, but he was teaching a stand-up class, right? So I was like, well, this is where it begins. This is where the journey begins. So I went in and I paid my money. I sat down and I'm sitting in the thing, and I'm all excited because this is happening. And I've got my high and tight. I'm still active duty Marine, so I would work in my Marine office right there in Manhattan from 7 to 5 every day, and then I would go home like everybody else. I would go pursue comedy. So I went down to Comic Strip Live. I always visualized comedy and stand-up the way I want to do it was more storytelling, like Eddie Murphy Delirious. Okay, that's what I grew up seeing and thinking this is amazing. Or Bill Cosby himself, telling stories.
Yep.
Those were amazing to me. And DJ was of the school of 3 jokes per minute. Stand up, set up, punch, set up, punch, set up, punch. And that's how we do comedy, kids.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, well, but that's not how I want to do it. I want to tell stories. And and I was green. I was naive. I'd really never done this kind of stuff before, and I was scared. And so, when you're in that situation, this guy is your teacher. You acquiesce to what he wants. And so I kind of shelved what I secretly wanted to do or what I thought it was me, and I tried to do it his way, and I hated it, and I fucking sucked.
It's the worst way to do stand-up.
I was like, I don't even know how to write this stuff. I don't even know, so I was coming up with just what I considered corny, hacky, average shit. Well, at the end of this class, you get to get up and do a 5-minute show. That's your thing. And you got to bring some people. Well, fuck that. I wasn't bringing anybody. I didn't want anybody to know about this. So I was like, fuck you.
The worst part of the bringer shows is when you're at your worst, you tell your friends to come.
I'm like, no one's seeing me until I'm ready for someone to see me.
Yeah.
But I saw, did you bring your people? I'm like, yeah, they should be here any minute. Fuck you. I'm not, And I didn't know anybody. I just fucking moved to town. I want to tell 2 Marines in my office. No, fuck that. So I was like, all right, So I got up and I did it his way. And I remember getting up on that stage and I had an adrenaline rush wash over me that I had never had before. And it made me lightheaded. It sounds silly, but it was a fight or flight type of adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
And I couldn't fight and I couldn't run and I had to stand there. And so it actually turned into more of a fight than a flight because I couldn't leave. I was on stage.
Yeah.
So it turned into that kind of where I had to just do it.
Yeah.
And they videotape you back then. This is back in the late 90s. So they videotaped me and I came off the stage and really unaware of what happened. I mean, it sounds hysterical.
No.
But it really, I was kind of unaware of what happened.
Yeah.
They handed me the VHS tape and I went and sat at the bar and I ordered a Jack and Coke, double it. And I fucking I drank it like it was just Coke. And I powered it home and I was like, fuck. And then I thought, that sucked. I hate this. I made the biggest mistake of my life because I quit flight school in the Marines so that I could set myself up to pursue comedy and acting. So I was like, I just fucked up. I could be flying planes right now. I could be flying.
Yeah.
I could be fucking Top Gun. And what am I doing? I'm sitting up here in New York. I just fucked up. I fucked up. This is bad news because I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
The fear was way more than I thought it was going to be. The comedy, I didn't like the style. I was like, nothing fits. This is like a small shirt and I have to wear it out in public and I fucking hate it. So I'm down on myself. I'm down on the whole thing. I go back. I watch the VHS. It went fine. It was not as bad as I had made it out to be, but I was so unaware of myself. Like I was like, that's the look you gave and that's the things you said. And those were I don't remember any of it. Like I was just trying to get through the damn thing. So anyway, I'm down, I'm out, I'm bummed out and I'm lamenting to a couple close friends. And, one of the friends that I'm lamenting to says, I got a friend. You should reach out to him and talk to him about comedy because I think he could maybe help. And I was like, at that point I'm desperate. So I'm like, yeah, who? It's my friend, Dave Keckner.
Oh,
and I go, okay, but I go, he doesn't have time to talk to me. He's on Saturday Night Live. This is like the most annoying thing I could do to this guy. But like I said, I was fucking desperate and this was a close personal friend, so there was a good connection. It wasn't like, but it was still a cold call. So I fucking called him and I said, hey Dave, I'm sorry to bother you. My name's Rob. I'm a friend of so-and-so's. Anyway, they said you might be able to maybe help me as far as just understanding where I should start because I'm trying to get started in this business or in comedy or whatever. And Dave couldn't have been more patient and more understanding. He's like, all right, well, he goes, well, what are you doing? Tell me what you're doing. So I said, I told the story that I just told you.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, well, shit. He goes, you need to try improv. It sounds like that's what you are maybe looking for. And I said, well, yeah. Because I thought I was going to go to Second City in Chicago and all this stuff. And he goes, well, listen, I've got some friends that literally just moved out here last year. And they started a little theater, downtown or whatever. And they're called the Upright Citizens Brigade, the UCB.
Oh my God, you're there at the very beginning.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. And he goes, go down. They do a show every Sunday night called ASSCAT. Go down and check out the show. And if you like what you see, go up and talk to the guys afterward. Matt Walsh, Besser, Amy, Poehler, these guys. Tell them you're friends with me. They know me. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're teaching classes and stuff. So if you like what you see, go talk to them and sign up for their classes. So I went down and I watched their ASSCAT show.
Dude, this is Outliers.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's not about privilege. It just happens to be that you show up.
Yeah.
You're looking for direction at a time that I would argue for the most important people in improv comedy or sketch comedy are looking to give direction.
Yeah.
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was a very lucky, and I hate to use luck because
Nope. I believe in luck more than hard work.
Do you?
Oh yeah.
Well, I think there's both.
I think there's both.
I think there's both.
yes.
I think you work hard to put yourself in a position for luck to occur.
Yep, I agree with that. But I get very frustrated. And I use Kevin Hart as an example because I know him. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
But I use Kevin Hart as an example. Like, I get frustrated when I see Kevin talk about hard work is the reason he's successful. Now, I guarantee you he does work hard.
He works harder than anybody I've ever seen.
But there are a lot of people that work really hard that aren't successful.
Do they have the talent? Because it's,
Yeah.
it's a lot of factors. It
Yeah,
can't
there's a
just
lot of
be,
factors.
It can't just be hard work.
It can't just be hard work, but man, luck is running neck and neck with hard work.
Well, there's again more cliches out there, but one of them is luck is preparation meeting opportunity.
Yeah.
When preparation meets opportunity, that's luck. Well, preparation is just another word for hard work. You know, you get yourself prepared by working hard and working at your craft and working at your comedy and working at your skills and working at networking and meeting people, and all of that is preparation. Eventually, you do all that prep work, opportunities will present themselves.
Yeah.
Now, whether you make the most of those, whether you fuck those up, whether you're a dick to people, whether you show up drunk, whether you show up, all those are that's what you make of it.
Yeah.
But if you are prepared, those opportunities will present themselves. Now, if you make the most of that, boom, there's your luck, and
Yeah.
there's your fucking. That's how you get a break, and that's how you. And then once you get one break, there's no finish line. You're not done.
Yeah.
That's just one fucking break.
Just one break. You need more luck.
You got to build on that. You need another break and another
Yeah.
break, and that just, and so it never stops. When I got Saturday Night Live, that was the first gig I ever got. Right. I mean, I was 2 years back from Afghanistan, and I got.
Hold
Saturday Night Live.
on. Get me to wait. Hold on 1 second. You went to Afghanistan?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so you got into UCB.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, so I go down and watch the Ass Cat show at UCB, and it was like I was Jim Belushi at the Triple Rock in Blues Brothers. You know, the light came
Yeah.
through and hit me, and I was like, "Do you see the light?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Yes," because it really was one of those moments where I was like, "This is amazing." They were so fucking funny, so fucking
What
talented.
year is this? 90.
This would have been 97.
97. I just moved to New York.
97.
If I would argue, had I discovered sketch and improv first, I probably would have never gotten into stand up. I didn't even know that was a possibility.
Yeah.
Because I think that is.
Well, that's how I was when I
Yeah.
showed. I thought I got to do stand up. That's how it is.
When I did stand up, I was a lot like you in the sense that I didn't know how to write setup punch. I couldn't even wrap my head around it, but I knew I could tell you a story. And so my first joke was about taking acid and going to Disneyland, but it wasn't a joke. And I remember people telling me, "You're not doing it right." And I was like, I don't know how to do it the way you do it, but I can tell you an 8-minute story. By the way, as a open micer, like I can tell you a story, and then that I think I did that when I started, and then I got beaten into writing jokes, and that's that special. Comfortably Dumb is more jokes than I would have ever put. In my last special, there's no fucking jokes. There's not. There's 2 jokes, but like that's only 2 jokes because it's in the story of me telling a joke.
Well, and there's so much truth to what you just said. Like, telling a story is great, and that's how I like to do it too. My stuff was all personal stories.
Yeah.
But there is an element where you can't be self-indulgent. You can't just be like, I'm going to tell you a story that I love and it's about me. No, you have to fill it out with some fucking humor.
Yeah.
And you have to fill it out with some comedy and some surprises. And you have to be like, it can't just be, oh, I have a great story. Great. We all have great stories. Now, can you make it funny? And so there is a mixing of the worlds. It's always a hybrid. Everything's a fucking hybrid.
So how long were you in UCB before you go to Afghanistan?
Oh shit! I mean, I started that night after I saw Ass Cat. I went right up afterward, and I was so impressed and blown away. I went right up to Matt Walsh and I said, "Hi, I'm Bob Riggle. I'm a friend of Dave Koechner's." And he goes, "Oh yeah, Dave said you might be swinging by." And I was like, "Yeah, I want to take classes. When do we start?" And he's like, "Well, shit, man. We teach. We have 3 levels: level 1, 2, and 3. Sign up. Give me your email address, and we'll get you in the next wave." And I go, "How much is it?" And he's like, 8 weeks, $300 or something. I was like, done. I mean, I was so fucking in. It was unbelievable. And that's it, man. They only offered 3 levels back then. And I took all 3 levels twice. so that I could get all 4 teachers. So I could get Besser, so I could get Walsh, so I could get Ian Roberts, so I could get Amy Poehler as teachers. I wanted to learn from all of them. I wanted to learn their philosophies, their styles, how they approach things, everything, because it was this wonderful world. And I did okay, like I got up and I improvised a scene and I could strap on a character. I just instinctually knew that world, instinctually. Now it was raw and I made mistakes and I fucked up and I did things, but that's all part of the learning. It's crawl, walk, run, you got to start somewhere. But I learned and I grew, and after I did the courses, I got on a house team, and then I started playing with them, and then we started writing sketch shows, and then I started teaching there, and then like all this was happening. Wow. Now, while that's happening, I'm still on active duty in the Marines, so I got called. I had to go over to Albania to help with the refugee crisis there, and then I went into Kosovo to keep the peace there after we bombed the shit out of them.
Oh my God, I completely forgot about Kosovo.
Yeah, so I had to take, I think I was gone for 4 or 5 months there during that time, and then came back, and then 9/11 happened, and I had just left active duty, but I was still in the reserves. So my reserve unit was in Manhattan. I was the only reserve unit in Manhattan, so I was activated the night of September 11th. And because they closed the bridges and the tunnels, my unit was called up on the night of September 11th and said, tomorrow morning you'll report to ground zero in your utilities, boots and utes, and we're going to meet at one police plaza, and we'll go in from there, and we're going to start working on the rubble piles. So from
fucking
September
insane life experience.
September 12th to the 18th, I worked down at ground zero on the bucket brigades, moving rubble by hand in buckets, because there were 6 stories of rubble. The whole downtown area was dust, it was papers, and it was ruined and burned out fire vehicles, and it looked post-apocalyptic. It looked like nothing I've ever seen before, and on a massive real scale. It wasn't a Hollywood set. It was this unbelievable, horrific tragedy. And we knew that, this was a graveyard for thousands of people. And we didn't know if there were any survivors underneath all this rubble. And we couldn't bring in heavy machinery for fear of cave-ins, because we thought there might be people under there.
You're 26 at the time? 28?
No, I'm 30.
Okay.
And I was still a captain. And so we worked down there for a while, and then they moved me up to one police plaza so I could help coordinate the military civilian efforts, because then they started doing search and recovery as opposed to search and rescue. And anyway, so I was pissed. Everybody was pissed in America. We just gotten sucker punched in the worst way possible. Everybody, I don't know if you remember that time, it's very tricky, but if you think back to that time, everybody wanted to do something. Everybody wanted to do something. Can I give blood? Can I give clothes? Can I give food? Like, everybody wanted to contribute in some way. Well, I was a captain in the Marine Corps. I knew I could contribute. I had a green badge, which is a very high security clearance for my job. And I knew they were going to need people. We were about to start something big. It was very clear. You don't get to just fucking attack America and no repercussions. It's not going to happen. So I knew they were going to need people. So I volunteered to go back on active duty. I put my hand in the air.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Here's what I've been looking for, this Virgins of Pass. Immediately, I would think, and I'm going to say this out loud, I say stupid shit, but I would definitely go, fuck, I'm doing so good in this business. Why now? I got to give up on my dream because these assholes bombed a building? Yeah,
but I hear what you're saying, but it was bigger than that. It was, to me,
I didn't go and volunteer. You look at guys like Pat Tillman who give up their dream to serve a bigger purpose, and you go, I look at them admirably and go, I don't know if I got that.
Yeah,
I'm selfish. I am the problem with this country.
No, you're not.
I definitely am. I just bought a gun. I'm definitely a problem with this country. I would have been torn if someone said, no, I'm just being honest, and sure. I don't know if it's accurate. I don't know. I don't remember. But if someone said you need to put your comedy career on hold to go to Afghanistan, I would have been like, I'm going to lose momentum. You guys don't understand how important momentum is.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but I felt I don't know. I felt it was a moment in history. It was the biggest thing that was probably ever going to happen.
You don't have to defend the.
No.
Like
but
part of me goes,
I'm just trying to explain where I was coming. I think it was just.
I think you're just one of those dudes.
Well, whatever it was, I did volunteer. So it didn't take long. Central Command picked me up on November 10th.
Yeah.
Which is I remember because it's the Marine Corps birthday. I reported to Central Command in Tampa, Florida, which is in charge of the Middle East. That's Central Command.
MacDill Air Force Base?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I reported there on November 17th. And then November 30th, I was in Afghanistan. And this is 2001.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Well, okay. Whoa. You're like first feet in Afghanistan.
Early. I wasn't first, but I was definitely one of the early. We hadn't even taken the southern part of the country yet. When I got there, we were in Mazar-e Sharif in the northern Afghanistan. Interesting story, and I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. So they sent me forward. I was a captain at the time. They sent me forward. I ended up joining 3rd Battalion, 5th Special Forces Group, which is an Army unit, and I'm a Marine, but I came from Central Command, so it's one big happy purple family. So I ended up joining this unit, right, working for them in a public affairs, civil affairs capacity, and helping out the commanding officer there, who was Lieutenant Colonel Bowers. And I used to brief him every morning, used to brief him every evening, and I would go out in town. I work with the local mullahs and work with the local the heads of, the whatever communities or whatever, and the warlords. And I would try to help get schools built, roads redone, try to help them with their life, winning hearts and minds type stuff. So anyway, cut to this year. Movie comes out called 12 Strong. It's about the 3rd Battalion, 5th Special Forces Group, guys that go into Afghanistan, first guys into Afghanistan. Chris Hemsworth, Michael Pena, Michael Shannon, we're all in it.
Yeah.
And it's their story, which is about their fight when we joined the Northern Alliance, took the fight to the Taliban. And their story takes place in October of 2001. And I arrived in November of 2001. So I'm in that movie, 12 Strong, and I play Lieutenant Colonel Max Bowers, my former boss, the guy that I used to report to every day.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
So wait, when you went into audition, you're like, I think I got the part. I think I know the guy. I think I know. I'm going to give you a little nuance that you don't remember. He used to drink his coffee like this.
I lucky that I didn't have to audition for it, but I did have a very personal connection with the character.
How awesome is that?
So it's a weird, random, small world type story. But anyway, going back to what we're talking about, I did my year, and I served in Afghanistan. I went over there twice from MacDill.
My father-in-law is drilling into the fucking wall next to us.
So and then I came home.
What's the flight like to Afghanistan from MacDill?
It's long.
Is it? But what kind of?
It's broken up. You're in a C-17 or a C-5.
Is that like comparable to like a 747 or?
It's the C-5 is. It's a massive air cargo plane. They can fit Bradleys and tanks and stripped down helicopters in
comfortable seats.
They're fine. They're nothing special, but it is what it is. You can get up and move around a little bit, which is nice. Yeah, I think you fly over to Germany, then Germany to Turkey, then Turkey on into Afghanistan. So it's got a lot of legs. It takes a long time to get there. I actually went through Uzbekistan into K2 and then down in. So because it's a whole long story.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got back at the end of 2002, beginning of 2003. Got back to New York, and then I got on Saturday Night Live in 2004.
So when you come back, are you done the Marines?
No, I'm still in the reserves. But
do you get to tell them I have dreams also?
No, they don't care. They don't give a shit.
But how can you you come back, you're still in the reserves, but do you know you're not going back?
No.
So you audition for Saturday Night Live, you get Saturday Night Live, the biggest goal probably of any comedian.
Yeah, it was one of the reasons I set out on that journey was I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live.
And you get Saturday Night Live. How do you get the guarantee? How do you tell them hey, just so you know, please don't send me back. I'm really.
Oh, Uncle Sam doesn't give a shit about my dreams.
Shut up.
They don't care at all. But I did just do a year. I just got recalled, and I did a year. It would be very hard for them to recall me again right away. It would be difficult.
Yeah.
It'd be very difficult to do that. So I kind of felt like I had a window of time. So anyway, so I was back now. I had done my year tour, and now I was going to go back and pick up where I left off, which is pursuing comedy and acting, full throttle.
Man, I am like it's so funny. I always thought we were similar guys, and I think there are similarities.
Yeah.
Man, you're a very different cut of human being than I am. I'm as selfish as fuck. Like I'm like
We all are.
No, that's like people go. Like people always say to me, "I'll drink you under the table." I go, "I don't think you know what you're getting up against." Like I like we're doing. I can't say it, but anyway, I'm not. I don't think I am as selfless as you. I don't like. What was your audition for Saturday Night Live like?
It was painful. You know how they do the way they do it is they or at least the year I did it, and I think they do it pretty consistently, but they invite people from all over the country. They invite people from LA, basically Lauren, and at the time like Shoemaker and Higgins, and Tina. They're the head shed, so to speak, the head writer and the main producers. And they kind of walk around and they talk to the writers and they talk to the cast and they say, hey, who should we be looking at? Who's out there that we need to know about? And they'll get feedback. The writers will all say me.
Yeah.
or I think it was Horatio Sands and Amy Poehler said, you ought to take a look at Rob Riggle. And I think that's how I got the invite to audition. And so I'm very grateful for that. So that's how you get the opportunity. I got the invite. Because what they do is they go around, they'll invite 5 people from LA, 5 people from Chicago, a couple people from Toronto, maybe now a couple people from Vegas, and a handful from New York. And they'll say, okay, everybody flies in. They all fly everybody into New York. You get into New York. They say they put you up in a hotel unless you live in New York. Then but they don't tell you the first night is at a club. First night's at a club, and if you're a stand-up, do your best 5 to 7 minutes. Whatever your best 5 to 7 minutes is, that's what they want to see. If you're an improviser, they want to see you do 3 characters and 3 impersonations. 1-minute monologues for each. Okay? So I was an improviser, so I was like, all right, so I got to create 3 characters and do 3 impersonations. Well, I'm not an impersonator, so I'm more of a character guy.
Yeah.
So I'll do characterizations. That's how, I always view Will Ferrell's George W. Bush. That's more of a characterization.
Yeah.
With than a classic Daryl Hammond impersonation.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, they call you, they say, okay, the first night is going to be Thursday night. We will call you an hour before and tell you where. Because they don't want the New York people stacking the house with all their friends and family, so they're dying laughing at their shit and nobody else's. Oh shit! So it's a very hush hush. They don't tell anybody. They give everybody the same notice. They call you 1 hour, and they say that gives you enough time to get wherever the fuck this place is in Manhattan. So they call and they say comic strip live Upper East Side. So I'm like, hey, I know that fucking place.
My old stomping grounds.
Yeah. So I was sitting in a coffee shop in Manhattan just waiting for the call. And they call and they say, that's where 82nd and 2nd or whatever. I don't know what it was, 81st and 2nd. I don't know. Yeah. So I said, okay. And I jump in a cab and I haul ass to there. Get there. Everybody's converging. There's about 15 of us.
Do you remember people that were in the audition with you?
Yeah. Jason Sudeikis. A couple of guys that ended up being writers on the show. Yeah. Some really good stand-ups, but I can't remember their name off the top of my head, but I remember their faces. So we get there and they say, okay, if you're here for what, again, don't talk about it, but if you're here for what we think you're here for, come over here. So we all kind of, everybody put your name in the hat. We all put our name in the hat, mix it all up.
Yeah.
First person up. Draw the name out. Rob Riggle. I was like, fuck me. I got to be first.
Yeah.
Fuck you. No, this is bullshit. The crowd's going to be cold. They're not going to be warmed up. I'm going to go. They're expecting to see stand up, and I'm going to come out there and do characters.
Yeah.
Fuck. So I'm having this fucking meltdown of screaming, fuck you and fuck this, and this is bullshit. It's all internal. I'm not saying anything. No, I got poker face. I'm like, all right, sounds good, you know, but I'm just as pissed as I can be. But I got to shake that shit off.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm not going to be my best self if I'm still having a fit.
Yeah.
So I go outside and I walk around a little bit, do a little once around the block, because we had time before this thing started. And I'm doing all the fucking self-coaching I can, you know.
Yeah.
This is good. This is a good thing. You're going to go out there. You're going to rock it, you know. Because you got to do that shit. You know, you cannot allow yourself to get dragged down.
You got to try to find the positive in
You
going
got
first.
it. You got it. Exactly. So I fucking get up there. They introduce me. I come up. And I just do what I got to do. I do my fucking characters. I'd rehearse some, you know, monologues, and, you know, got some funny bits that I thought worked. And for these different characters, I tried to show a range, you know, of characters and stuff. I tried to be timely. I was like, what's in the news this week? You know, so it shows that I can be timely.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Shockey, who was a tight end for the New York Giants at the time, had gotten himself in trouble during training camp by saying something, I don't know, something homophobic or something.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I played Jeremy Shockey because I was a big guy at the time. So I was like, I can pull off a football player. So then I did some bit about that, you know. It was basically him apologizing for his remarks and talking about how much he loves working out with the dudes, and it was basically how gay he was. But anyway, so I tried to show this range of characters and timeliness and and I did my shit. I did 6 minutes and I got the fuck off the stage, and that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Everybody else, all the other 14 got up and did their stuff too. And even my partner, Rob Hubel, a comedy partner of mine, he auditioned as well that night. Then that's it. Then Lorne Michaels is sitting out there, Tina Fey is sitting out there, Michael Shoemaker and Higgins is sitting out there, and they're watching, you know, and they're taking notes, and they're and the deal is they will call you if you're coming back the next day. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, well, shit. So everybody does their stuff. We're all standing out on the curb smoking cigarettes and, you know, congratulating each other and, you know, trying to be positive and happy. And here comes Lauren, here comes Tina. They all come out, they get in their cars, they're gone. You're like, shit, wow, okay, shit. Who knows, you know? So I start going home. I'm walking home and my phone rings. And they're like, hey, it's whoever. You did great. We loved it. We want you to come in tomorrow to 30 Rock and at this time, and we're going to do it again. And I was like, okay. So I knew I made it to the second phase. A lot of people from that night, there was like 15 of us. I'd say they called back maybe 5 of us.
Really?
Yeah. So the others were just said, thanks so much for coming out. We really appreciate it. There's your plane ticket home. You know, that was that.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, so I'm at least I'm here. Made it to the second phase. Second time you go up, you go into Studio 8H, you know, where the host walks out for the opening monologue. That's where you come out. They have one camera on you, a cameraman and a floor manager. And they have a picnic table set up over there where the audience usually is. And again, it's Lauren, Tina, Shoemaker, and Higgins, and they're all sitting there. Maybe a couple senior writers, maybe. And they've already seen your shit. You know, they saw it last night in a club full of people. So they tell you, don't be surprised if nobody laughs. You know, they've already seen your stuff. They've seen everything, by the way. So, you know, don't be bummed out if they don't laugh. It's not a big deal. Just do your stuff. The camera's on you so that everybody back in, all the NBC executives back in Burbank can watch you. And they're going to weigh in on this too. So you're really kind of performing for the camera and see how you look on TV and how you do and for the Burbank people. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. That helps. Then they walk you out. They get you wired for, you know, they put the wire on you and they walk you out and they say, okay, you're going to come through the thing and you're going to do all this. Great. And by the way, cut it down a little bit. Last night was, 5 to 7 minutes. Try and get it down to 4 minutes if you can. So now you're having to kind of stress out about like, well, what do I cut? Do I cut that character? Do I cut this? Shit. And then you're like, what do they want to see? And you don't know what the fuck they want, but you just start playing these mind games. I think it's built in. I think it's built in to stress you out because they're testing you to see if you can handle live fucking TV.
Yeah.
You know, it's a stress case. It's not gentle. You know, shit's live. It's not live to tape. It's live to the fucking country. So you go out there, you go on stage. Lauren was very nice. He came up and shook my hand and said, Rob, you did a very nice job last night. Do you have any questions for me? No, I don't. Okay, great. Well, just, do your thing and have fun. And then he went and sat down and your head's spinning a little bit, but here it goes. And you get out there and you say that first joke. And it's fucking silence.
What was your first joke? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Oh.
But I just remember the silence.
Can I tell you what my first joke would have been if I were you?
What?
I just got back from serving in Afghanistan. I'm going to start now. I hope you guys realize what a sacrifice I'm fucking giving this goddamn country. But fucking please.
I have no idea. That might have turned him off, actually. You never know.
Oh my God. I would have been like, I have busted my fucking ass to get here. I could be called away at any fucking moment.
So I did say that thing and it's crickets.
Yeah.
Except for the God blessed cameraman. Oh. The cameraman, I see his shoulders rocking and I see him kind of moving. And that was all I needed because my heart, I don't give a fuck who you are. You drop that first joke and this silence.
You start panicking.
Your heart rate shoots through the fucking ceiling. It just, woo, and then you start speeding through your shit and you lose all that good comedic sense.
Yeah.
And that cameraman giving me the chuckle helped me bring it back a little bit. And I got through my shit. I cut out some things, moved on, and then you leave. And then he says, thank you. And then you leave. And you don't hear shit for like a week or two. You're just kind of walking around going...
For like 2 weeks, you're not hearing anything about your audition?
Nothing. You don't hear fuck all. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Bummer. You know, my dream. I saw it. I tasted it. I looked at it. I stood on the stage, but I guess nothing, huh? And then it happens. The phone, I was standing in line. I just had a baby with my wife just had the baby.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's stressful. It's a stressful time in my life. Very stressful. I got to provide for everybody. So I'm thinking about going back on active duty. I got to provide. I'm on the hook here.
Shit, you just had a baby?
Yeah. So my wife is with the baby and I'm getting us dinner. And I'm standing in line and the phone rings and it's very presidential. Hello, is this Rob Riggle? Yes. Please stand by for a call from Lorne Michaels.
Oh, that's when your heart drops. That's when you're like...
Well, I'd been told by some people, if Lorne calls, it's a good sign because Lorne never fucking gives bad news. He only gives good news. It's good to be the king.
God, I'd like
so
that.
I was like, well, shit, if Lorne is calling, that's fucking good news.
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't want to get too excited, but I got excited. And he came on and was very nice. He was like, Rob, we loved what you did. Very original, very funny. We enjoyed it a lot. We just was wondering if you would be interested in joining the cast this year. And I said... I was standing in a line.
We can have the baby.
And I was like, fuck yeah. I mean, I was all happy and I was still gung-ho, a little gung-ho Marine-ish. I was like, I'm going to work so hard for you, sir. It's going to be the best. And he's like, take it easy, basically.
Dial it back.
Yeah, he's like, take it easy, nerd. So I was like, but I was like, thank you. And it was one of the great, besides graduating officer candidate school, and besides having a baby and all those other, that is definitely one of the moments in my life where I was like, I felt like I did something. I had set a goal and I accomplished it against really tremendous odds. But I did it. And it was just this wonderful feeling kind of washed over me. And it was very peaceful. And then it wasn't peaceful. It was peaceful. And then it wasn't.
Starts and it's
because then it was game on. Shit. And then, and again, this was my first fucking gig. Saturday Night Live is my first gig. I couldn't be.
That's your first gig. Mine was on FX.
Yeah, I mean, talk about green. I couldn't be any fucking greener. I couldn't be in this business. So it was awesome. And now look, I only did a year there, But it was a glorious year. I had a great time. I learned so much. I made great friendships. I feel like I deserved a second year. It didn't happen for a multitude of reasons, which I understand, but I don't hold any ill will or anything like that. And I was blessed because then I got to go onto the Daily Show.
Yeah,
and
it's
do
almost
and
a
do,
bigger platform.
At that time, it kind of was, but it was just it was great. I'm a member of that Saturday Night Live fraternity.
Yeah.
I have my picture on the wall. I'm an alumni. I can go back for after parties. I can go to the show. I can do things. It's nice. It's just nice. And I got in and I got out before I got too scarred, because a lot of people go on that show and they get beat up,
It breaks them.
Yeah, and you never hear from them or see them again, or they're never quite the same comedically or whatever it is. So I feel like I got the best of both worlds on that deal.
That's crazy. I'm going to make sure that we're at 11 o'clock. I know you got to get out of here in like 15, but I want to talk to you. I want to ask you, because I feel like I might be fishing in the wrong hole, but I feel like your relationship with your grandfather seems like it was pretty tight.
He was, and it wasn't. He's a German farmer. You don't get close to German farmers.
Shut up.
He was a kid of the Depression.
Yeah.
He fought in World War II. He went through so much in his life, living in rural Missouri, born in 1915, growing up in tough times, really tough times. Just a dirt farmer in mid-Missouri, and then going to war.
What do you mean dirt farmer?
Well, crops.
Oh, yeah. I'm so stupid. I thought he really harvest dirt. In my head, I'm like, I guarantee you there is a hipster who has a farm where they just harvest soil.
Like Dumb and Dumber, the worm store. Yeah. But he toiled the land, basically. He was a crop farmer, and that's hard work back in the 1920s and 30s. And it was a tough time. And then he went to war. Then his reward was he went to war for 4 years. And I don't know. But he was generous, and he was gracious to me and kind. But he didn't tolerate fools, and he was what am I searching for? If you did him wrong, you didn't get a second chance.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm like that. I think I'm very forgiving.
No, but you're very you're an anomaly in this business. I know you have to know that.
Yeah, as far as like my journey.
Yeah, and being a man. There are a lot of men in this business.
There are more than you think.
Oh.
No.
Nope. There's you run into one every now and then.
Yeah.
But I'm talking like a man, like the kind of man who doesn't talk shit when they drive their car because they know what it's like to be punched.
Oh.
There's a lot of men that live in this glass house where they feel like, I think that's probably the wrong analogy, but they feel like it's okay to humiliate another person on set, or it's like
I've worked with some folks like that. I know what you're saying. There are some bad people out there. There's some bad operators.
Yeah, there's a lot, and this business draws them, because I think this business,
because this business is full of insecurity.
Yeah,
it's full of insecurity, and the masculine way, generally speaking, to overcome insecurity is by being a douche.
Yeah,
and it's sad, because what makes for great acting, and trust me, I don't know shit, but what I've learned, my assessment of it is, what makes for good acting is vulnerability. Being vulnerable, being open to your emotions, which, believe me, as a Marine officer, I have spent the better half of my life learning to master my emotions as far as control them.
Yeah.
Not master them in the sense that I can cry now, I can not cry, I can be happy now, I can be sad. No, I'm talking about being in control of my facilities when someone pisses me off, or dealing with a difficult person and trying to stay focused on the objective and not get down in the weeds and want to fucking fuck this guy over out of spite or whatever, but just trying to get where we need to go as a collective, or get where I need to go. And if I have to deal with this asshole, then I'll deal with them. So I master your emotions, but the truth is being open to your emotions, allowing yourself to touch the things that scare you or hurt you, that's where you have your breakthroughs as far as acting goes, I think.
Do you do a lot of USO tours?
I do. I do. The last big one I went on was a Christmas tour. We hit 6 countries in 6 days, and I was with Meghan Markle, who's going to be Princess.
You were Meghan Markle?
Well, she was part of the group.
Really?
Yeah, it was a great group. Great group. We had Diane Agron. We had Meghan Markle, Brian Urlacher, Doug Fister, and myself.
Brian Urlacher.
Yeah.
His hair look good.
Oh, he's a stud. I love Brian.
Yeah.
He's such a nice guy.
He seems like a good guy.
He's a cool dude, super funny, chill. He's a good guy.
When you get on base, do you find yourself getting into old habits of like, hang on, wait, when you get on base, do they have to salute you or like?
No, I'm retired now, so I'm good. They don't give a shit. I'm a retired lieutenant colonel.
Jesus.
23 years total, 9 years active, 14 in the reserves. And now, no, if I go on, I'm just a civilian now, like everybody else. But when they go, well, sir, this is a chow hall. This is where we go have meals. I'm like, I got it. You know, like I don't want to be condescending because I know they're proud of what they want to explain everything to me. So I try to let them explain a lot to me. But at the same time, I'm like, I got it.
When you go up on stage, do you have like material that just murders with them?
Yes and no. Yeah, I do. I learned a valuable lesson. I did a USO tour in Iraq, and it was the first one I'd ever done. And I did some of my set from my club set, and I did it the first night we were in Kuwait. We landed and we did a quick show, and I realized these people don't give a fuck about my luggage story or my, the guy sitting next to me on the fucking plane. What do they fucking care about? So I real quick started making up material about their life and their world, and it fucking killed. Like, that's the shit they make it about. Know your audience. Jon Stewart told me that. And when I went over to do this Iraq tour, Jon Stewart said, I was like, do you got any advice? Because he's one of the most amazing comedians, and he's so well-versed, and he's been around. And he goes, make it about them, man. He goes, make it about their world and their life. And I said, okay. And then, of course, I went and did my club act in Kuwait first night. Yeah. Shows what a good listener I am.
My Uber driver was...
Yeah. So then I was like, I went back because it went fine, but I didn't feel like it went as well as it should have. So I was like, so I thought about it, and I thought, well, what did fucking John say? He said, make it about them. So I started talking about their commanding officer. I started talking about their food. I started talking about the rules of engagement. I started talking about the bunkers they have set up. I started talking about the drones. I started making all these bits and all this stuff about that. And I'm telling you, man, every show after that was fucking killer. Just killer, because it was their world and we were having fun. And I got to be their advocate. They can't say shit to their commanding officer, but guess who can?
Oh, shut the
This fucking guy can. Yeah. They can't bitch about the food, not to anybody, not to any of the brass. They can bitch to each other, but fucking I can't. I get to be their advocate. So then I was starting to rock that shit, and it was a good time.
That's awesome. You keep going back and doing those?
I go back. I haven't been in a while. I think the last one I did was about 2 years ago. So I'm probably due. But I do a lot of veterans events here in the United States. I do stuff with Team Rubicon. I do stuff with We Are the Mighty, with Warriors in Quiet Waters, with the Semper Fi Fund, with the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation. So I do a bunch of stuff here in the States.
Yeah, we're globally different. I've done one USO thing. It was in Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. I did. Oh, that's the last one I did with The Rock. We did his Pearl Harbor show.
I did. This was
Rock the Troops, I think it was.
Yeah, this was way before that, but it was me and Segura, and we got in trouble. And the one thing they said is don't make fun of the Hawaiians. And Segura's opening joke was, man, they say island life is slow. I didn't know they were talking about their metabolisms. These Hawaiians are fat as shit. And,
well, there you go. We're out of the gates hot.
Yeah. But that's really awesome. I always wished I'd I guess you get into the USO stuff or not.
I do.
Meaning like I never, no one's ever asked me, and so I just never volunteered, and
Right.
And I was like, I guess, you know.
Yeah, I think they're rewarding tours.
Yeah, I
because
think it would be something.
The audiences are super appreciative. You know, the entire time I was I served in Liberia, I served in Albania, I served in Kosovo, I served in Afghanistan twice. I never got a USO show as a troop, as a Marine. Never once. No matter where I was. And even on the stateside, I never got a fucking USO show. That's one of the reasons I like to go back and do them.
Yeah.
But they really appreciate it. I mean, you know, you can feel it. They're glad to see you, and they're glad to see you. You came all the way overseas to see them.
I would do one. I never got. I did Folds of Honor.
Oh, that's nice.
I did a show for them, and they gave me this really great backpack.
That's awesome.
This is maybe the best backpack I've ever owned. But it's got my name and like embroidered in the back with like I'm somebody.
Yeah.
I'm not.
No, you are.
Yeah, well.
You are.
So the podcast you do with Sarah is on Podcast One. What's the name of it?
It's Wriggles Picks with Sarah Tiana and Rob Riggle.
That's great.
And we shoot the shit about everything. We just fuck around. It's kind of a fuck around, but we do talk about sports, and we talk about comedy, and we talk about life.
That's awesome.
And whatever needs to be talked about. Like if there's some major fucking headline, we're going to talk about it. You know what I mean? But otherwise, it's a lot of sports and a lot of us cracking wise.
Are you doing this Sunday? Are you doing Fox Sports again?
I will.
That's great.
Thanks, man.
That's great. That's a good fit.
Yeah, thanks. I like it. It did take me off the road, though. It made me stop doing stand-up.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, who gives a shit? You're fucking with your family. How many kids you have?
That's it. I got 2 kids, and
they're about to be grown now.
And they're in the ages where they need me, because you know what it's like when you're on the fucking road, man. It's you leave on a Wednesday, so you can do Thursday through Sunday gigs. You get home. Your weekends are Monday, Tuesday. You're not in sync with your family.
Yep.
You get home. Your body clock is never synced up with theirs, because you finish your last show at midnight, and then it takes 2 hours to come down off of that show, which usually means 6 beers, and then it's just it's a hard grind, man, and it ain't good for families.
I finished my show in Huntsville, Alabama yesterday at midnight. I got in a car and drove. I got driven. I didn't drive. I was drinking. I got driven to Nashville for a 5 a.m. flight, connected through Chicago, landed here, shot 2 episodes of my cooking show last night, wrapped at 11, and came back, got in my pool with a cigar, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely work. Like, this is, didn't see my daughters at all.
Oh my God, that's grinding, man.
Yeah, and then I've got today. I'm doing another podcast. I have a show tonight at the El Cid. I have Wednesday off. I'm taking them to a Dodgers game, and then I go to Tempe this weekend. It's just
the Dodger game's going to be great.
Dodger game's going to be.
They're playing the
awesome.
Diamondbacks, right?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, that's going to be a good
6
game.
p.m. show. Watch the sunset. See the hills.
Yeah.
Nice cold beer. Dodger dog.
You're making my mouth water.
It's America. I fucking love it.
It's so good,
dude. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Like I said, I'm being dead serious. I could have easily talked to you for another hour. You're a natural storyteller, like
Thanks.
Natural.
Yeah.
And
well, you make it easy. You make it easy and enjoyable to talk to.
Dude, anytime.
Thanks.
Anytime, if you ever have something to promote and you want to come on podcast and promote it, it's an open door.
Thanks, man.
And if you ever have any of if you're ever putting together one of their benefits or whatever, feel free to hit me up. I'll do it in a heartbeat.
I appreciate that. I will definitely keep you in mind.
Dude, I feel like I should say it was an honor to meet you.
Right back at you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
All right, bud.